So the first step to finding the equation that represents the farthest points the sprinklers can reach would be to find R. So as you can see, the way we find R would be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we know our x would be 6 minus 0 squared, and then our y, 8, so 8 minus 0 squared. So 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, so we get that R is going to be the square root of 100, so we know R is equal to 10. Great, so now we need to use this to find the equation. This is step 2. So we know x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So we just plug in our r and we square it, so we know r is 10, square it to get 100. So x squared plus y squared is equal to 100. Part B is finding the percent of the backyard that will not be watered directly. So first off, we need to see how big the backyard is. So we find that area by doing length times width. So 25 feet times 20 feet, which will get us 500 feet squared. Second step is to find the area of the watered section, which is going to be pi r squared. So from the part A, we know our r is 10, so we do pi times 10 squared, and we get 314.16 feet squared. Now move on to step 3. Find the area of the non-watered section, which is easy because we're just going to take the area we found in the first part, 500, the whole area, minus the area of the watered part, and that's how we get 185.84 feet squared to find the area of the non-watered section. Next is to the percent. So we're going to want to put the area of the non-watered section over the whole area. So we do that, and we need to times it by 100 to get percent. So then we end up with 37%. So the best thing to do with this problem is just evaluate all the information they gave us. They gave us a lot, so let's just take it piece by piece. Okay, first they gave us eccentricity, which we know is equal to 0.4, which will equal C over A. Next, let's evaluate A. They gave us our major axis, which was 24,000. We know our major axis is 2A and not A. We can't forget that. So we need to divide 24,000 by 2 to get A. So A will be 12,000. Next is when we can plug all our information in to find C. So E is equal to C over A, so 0.4 is equal to C over 12,000. Then we get C is equal to 4,800. So let's just take a minute to evaluate everything we have so far. Well, we know that it's going to be at the origin, so we know it'll just be x squared and y squared. There will be no x minus anything or y minus anything. And since we know that the foci is on the x-axis, we know that the x-axis has to be the major axis. So our x squared over 144 million plus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. And to touch on that a little, the problem told us that the foci was on the x-axis, and we know that the foci will always be on the major axis. And earlier they told us the major axis was 24,000 miles long. So that's where we get from putting 24,000 squared under x squared. After we evaluated everything we had, we knew we were missing b squared. And in this, we know that b squared is equal to a squared minus c squared. So we know our a is 12,000, and we're going to square that, minus 4,800 squared to get b squared is equal to 120,960,000. Alright, moving on to write the final equation. So again, we know it's centered at the origin, so it'll just be x squared and y squared. And then from there, we plug in a and b, and then that is our final equation. X squared over 144 million plus y squared over 120,960,000 is equal to 1. So first again, let's take this question piece by piece since they gave us a little bit of information. So first we know that A is going to be 5. You may be tempted to say A is going to be 10 since they said the width of the window was 10, but you have to remember A is going to be half of the width. It will never be the full thing. So we need to do 10 divided by 2 to get 5. And we know B will be 4 because it will be the height of the arch. Moving on to step 2, we need to find C. So we know that C squared is equal to A squared minus B squared. So let's plug in our A, 5, and our B, 4. So 5 squared, 25, minus 4 squared, 16. So C squared is equal to 25 minus 16. C squared is equal to 9, and C is equal to 3. So step 3 is our final answer. We know the thumbtacks have to be placed 3 feet from the center, since that's what C was.